Hey, this is Daniel with Golden Rovers, and I'm going to show you how to install one of our Gullwings. So the Gullwing access windows, they provide quick access to essential gear. Let's say you have a first aid kit or some recovery gear or some tools that you need to get quick access to. You can just pop this open on the trail. It is made out of powder-coated aluminum and uses stainless steel hardware throughout. So first of all, make sure you take an inventory of the hardware. Make sure we sent you everything. You should have 2 hinges, one of these L-shaped studs, just a regular ball stud, this clip nut here. You should have a wrench for the security bits, 8 security bits, 4 small washers, 4 large washers, 4 nuts, and 2 little Phillips screws. And of course, 1 strut. You should also have some gasket material and 4 rivet nuts. We have this trim tool to help push the gasket in. This is to take the inside trim out. We use this to cut the gasket. It's kind of overkill. This is our rivet nut setter. That's what that is. We need a 10mm and a 12mm wrench. I couldn't find them, so I used this adjustable one. It's a 10mm socket. Tape measure. These calipers were to check that our hole spacing was perfect. A drill and some drill bits. A hammer. Phillips screwdriver. Utility knife, pretty important. Fine tip Sharpie. And this I highly recommend. At least some kind of punch. And this is a center hole punch to mark the holes before drilling. Now these panels are double-sided. So basically they could be used on either side of the vehicle. And I'm going to show you how to configure it for one side or the other. So for the right side of the vehicle, this is the outside. We'll take the hinges and 4 of the security screws, and we're going to use all the washers here. So first, 2 security bolts through the hinge, and then we're going to put these 2 washers, these 2 large washers here. And this helps to offset the panel a little bit off the hinge and ensures that we get proper clamping pressure at the top here so that we don't have any leaks when installed. So, on the other side, you'll need the 2 small washers. And finally, the 2 bolts, 2 nuts, I think. Okay, we'll snug that up in a sec. Over to the other sides. Same thing. 2 security screws. 2 large washers. Into the panel. And over here, 2 small washers. The last 2 nuts. We'll snug those up at the end. Alright, now let's install these latches. So first, let's disassemble the clamp from behind them. Now each of them goes into the proper slot. Flip it around and reinstall the clamp. And repeat on the other side. Nice and tight, and there we go. And the final step is this. This should be installed with the ball facing the rear of the vehicle. So that means like this in the case of the right side. And don't worry, I'll show you what everything looks like on the left side as well. So this is where you use these small Phillips screws Yours might actually be black. I don't have the black ones yet, but that's what I plan on sending with the kit. Alright, snug that up. And don't tighten too hard now, because we're tightening into an aluminum panel, so those aluminum threads can be a little soft. This does not have to be super tight or anything. That is the right side of the car fully assembled.
Uh-oh. The boss is coming.
Oh.
The boss!
Quality control. We've got both sides assembled here. Let's get a good view of that. So you can pause the video at any time and compare. This is the right side of the vehicle. And over here is the left side of the vehicle. Left side of the vehicle should look like that. And the right side. Alright, on to the window removal. I don't think we had any luck with heat. What has worked, however, is a windshield or window removal tool. And this one happens to be from Harbor Freight. I think you can get similar ones anywhere. But it's basically a wire and these two handles. And you cut your own length of wire. And you cut your own length of wire, you clamp it to the two handles. And I think the basic idea is you can remove a windshield with this by it comes with another tool that allows you to shove the wires through the gasket and catch it from the other side. And you can have one person on each side of the window cutting the gasket this way. But I found that it actually works okay in this case from the outside. Starting at this corner, just wrap the wire around and start going like this. And it's going to take a while. And you have to be careful not to scratch your paint with the wire to keep your angle good. So
It's going.
you start to see the wire over here.
Ah.
It's crossing, so it's working. It's working. So, in retrospect, not a bad idea, I think. Cover the area with some tape. So we switched to doing one person inside, one person outside, and that actually speeds it up quite a bit. Just gotta be careful with, scratching up the trim. You can remove all the trim if you prefer, but otherwise just be careful.
Yeah.
Alright, we realized this would be a lot easier with this upper trim removed. First you have to remove the piece that's over here, and that just pulls down. Actually pulls out, because it's hooked up in here, so it pulls outward and then out. And then this trim is just a bunch of these you gotta pull out. And you can pull them out with a tool like this. One thing we forgot about is this alarm needs to be disconnected off of the window.
Oh, good. Because my arm was tired. Woo!
Just in time.
And we didn't break anything.
Alright, so there's no real secret that I found to remove the old glue except to just use a knife and scrape our way at it. Maybe heat can help a little bit. Alright, that's probably good enough. I'm not really concerned with getting every last bit of residue off. I'm really just trying to take off the bulky excess. The new gasket we're going to put on here is going to clamp down, and it's going to seal just fine without removing every last bit. Alright, next let's apply the new gasket. What we're going to do is we're going to start from the bottom middle, because that's where we want to put our seam. So we're going to start here, start installing the gasket all around, and then when we get back here we're going to cut it to size and finish. So you'll see this gasket has sort of a clamp and the bulb, and so we're going to clamp it onto this part of the body so the bulb is sticking out towards us. I'm going to use this trim tool to help push the gasket in. You're going around corners like this. Make sure that the gasket is really in there, making the tight turn. So really use whatever tools you got to push that gasket into place, making that tight turn in there. Alright, I'm getting to the end here, and as you can see, I have a little bit of excess length. So I'm going to take some sort of cutter and just chop it. I'm using these wire cutters, which is pretty overkill. I'm sure some pliers could cut this too. But there's a little bit of steel in there, so I don't think you could get through it with regular scissors or anything though. Okay, with the gasket in place, the next thing I want to tackle is this. Since we ended up removing the trim, this is easily accessible. We're going to replace this clip nut with a different one provided in the kit. And what that's going to do is allow us to attach our ball stud. Okay, so now comes another tricky part. You might need two people for this again. Someone has to hold the Gullwing window in place while another person marks where the holes are going to be over here. So it's important to hold the Gullwing in place perfectly aligned so it doesn't look weird when it's all done. So first thing, make sure you tighten down your hinges. There's a little bit of wiggle room, so make sure that it's not, lopsided. Make sure it's straight, and then tighten them down in there. Even out the stick in here. I think more to the toes. Yeah, there. It is pretty good. So I'm going to press up here and mark the holes. Mark the center. Okay. So they have our marks. Let's make sure that they look pretty level. And we're going to double check the spacing to make sure that it matches the hinges exactly. Okay. So the spacing for the two bolts for each hinge should be exactly 35 millimeters. So I'm going to check with these calipers, set 35, and make sure that my dots are exact. Those are, and those two. So, okay. So now the space between these two marks, like this bolt from this hinge and that one from this hinge, should be exactly 351 millimeters. So I'm going to check that. Make sure. That's pretty much spot on. So I think we're good to start drilling. So I think it's really important when drilling that we in the center point that we marked without drifting away. So the first thing I like to do is mark it with a punch, and that'll help line up the drill bit. Okay, so that center hole punch put just a tiny little indent in the center of each hole. And now I'm going to take my drill with the smallest drill bit I have. I'm going to drill a little pilot hole. Okay, and just so I keep the center accurate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step up in drill bits bit by bit until I get to 3/8 is our final size. So pretty much working through this entire assortment of drill bits. Maybe I can skip and go 2 at a time. But yeah, I want to make sure that the final size hole, which is 3/8. So these are the provided rivet nuts, and you just have to make a hole big enough for the rivet nut to pass through. And in my set, that's the 3/8 inch size. Through metal, a little bit of cutting oil makes a huge difference. One note, I'm seeing here that the holes I've made are pretty borderline, like they're kind of low. Make sure you don't drill them any lower than this. Alright, so with that, now we can set our rivets. I like this right angle tool, makes it a little bit easier for positions like that, but there's also the big one that kind of goes like this. That one's fine too. Thread the rivet nut in there. And here we go. Great. Okay, moment of truth. Hopefully the holes lined up as we hoped. These hinges don't have a lot of wiggle room, not a lot of room for error. Like these holes are pretty tight around the bolt. So if you have a misalignment, you have a few options. Hopefully it's not severe. So first of all, if the holes are like not level and the hinge wants to go sideways, you could loosen these down here. If that doesn't work, or if the spacing between these holes isn't right, then take that drill bit and make these holes a little bit bigger, and that'll give you just a bit of wiggle room. But hopefully we don't have to do any of that. Okay, now they're loose, right? And that gives us just enough wiggle room to make this installation way easier, so we don't have so our screws aren't like binding and fighting and stuff like that. It's a little bit easier. Yeah. Okay, looks like we did all right. Everything was able to thread in. So now I'm gonna do the final tightening. I'm gonna tighten the 4 up top here, and then I'm gonna retighten these at the end. So here we go. Make sure to snug these up, but don't go crazy. I mean, you've got a rivet nut back there. You don't want to strip it. Alright, so that's tight now. I'm tightening these back up. So now we're on to one of the final steps, which is putting the latches back on, and then we're gonna cut holes over here so the latches can go in and clamp onto the body of the car. Go. Use your head. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take these bolts out completely. Alright, so when it's shut, we can see that it lands there. I'm gonna make a little mark. Probably easier if someone holds it on the other side, but that's okay. I got it.
So where are you marking?
So I'm marking so as if it was shut, and the latch was trying to close, like it would have to go through here. So I'm marking where that hits over here.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so I've made my marks in the shape of a square.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay. Easy peasy. So this piece of metal's in the way. It's probably easiest thing is to just bend it down. I'm gonna see if this hammer will do the job. I don't remember what we did last time. That helped a little bit. Yeah. It's able to. Yeah, it's out of the way now. That wasn't too bad.
All right. Let's see how she latches.
Okay, so now these are how we adjust the clamping pressure. So I'm gonna put them back. I'm gonna show you how to do that. So we put them over here, thread them in. And I like to thread them in where they're just about to stick out on the other side. That seems to be pretty good. So just when they just start to peak over there. And we can, that's a good starting point. Okay, so how's that? Not bad. I think we can go further with the pressure. So I'm gonna unthread them a little bit. That's pretty good. So now that we have our depth set, the next thing to do is just tighten these nuts on, and that'll like secure it. So then you get a wrench. Well, in typical fashion, I have lost my 10mm wrench. Use this adjustable wrench. There we go. Okay. Now that latches nicely. One thing left, we have to put the trim back on the inside, and we have to install the strut that holds it open. I'm gonna do a light test. I'm gonna shine the light on the inside and see if we can see it on the outside. And that's just a test to make sure that everything is sealed up nicely and there won't be any leaks.
All right.
Turn off the lights. I'm gonna shine the light on the inside into the corners here. And let me know if you see anything.
I don't see anything.
Nothing.
Nothing.
That means we did it.
I mean, I see the lights from the Alpine, but not from the...
Yeah, not through the gaps.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
It's back in there.
Did you need to put this piece in first?
No, second.
Second.
So this goes in first, and it's held up with these. So we're going to put these back everywhere except for here. Because remember, we put a different clip nut there, and this is where we're going to screw in our stud. So, let me show you. Put these up here. Now this piece, this is our straight ball stud. So we replaced the clip nut in the trim, and it's compatible with it. I'm happy with that. And installed like this. So at the bottom, that's that easy. You just click it on. And then up here, same thing. Click. Ta-da!
Beautiful.
Beautiful. That's it. We did it.
Yeah.